Hi, just popping in to give you a little update on what I'm working on. I'm actually working on a rom-com, which is something completely new and different for me. So it's going to be my Christmas 2024 novella, which is going to come out just like A Country Vet Christmas did in October, but it'll be this year, and it's going to be part of the anthology along with Penelope Janu, Stella Quinn and Lily Malone. Just 4 of us this year, so I'm really excited about that, and I just thought I wanted to do something completely different. So I'm writing a rom-com. The problem for me at the moment is not that I'm writing a rom-com, but that, and I've realised finally that this is actually part of my process, is that I've gotten about a quarter of the way through, maybe almost to the halfway point, not quite, let's say a quarter, and I'm stuck. So as I always do when I get stuck is I stop. And as always happens, I actually know that this is the worst thing that you can do, because the longer that you're away from the project, the harder it is to get back into it, and the more you kind of stress and beat yourself up about the fact that you don't know what you're going to do. So on Friday I sat down and I thought, right, I think the problem is, which often happens, I don't really know my character well enough. I don't know enough about her background, her wounds, her motivation, why she's doing what she's doing, and that will actually drive the story if I know that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go back and do some note-taking. I'm writing in Scrivener. So I went back and I did some note-taking. I did pages of work on her character, her wound, and all that sort of thing. But the other thing that I did, and I wanted to show you this, how I use this, is I worked on the character builder on One Stop for Writers. So if you're not familiar with onestopforwriters.com, it's actually created by the same people that created the Emotion Thesaurus, and I know many writers out there know what that is, but there's a whole lot more on this website. I'm not being paid for this in any way, shape or form. This is just a tool that I love to use, and you can find things like the emotional wounds of the character, their emotions, their fears, their negative traits, their positive traits. And it has this amazing tool called let me go into my workspace, which is where I've used it to create documents of my own, the character builder. So after doing that, I thought, right, I've got a better handle on the character. I still need to work on some plot. So another fabulous tool that I found online is Plotter, Plottr. Let me take you into that to have a little look. So here we are in Plotter. For some reason it keeps coming back to, I'm not an expert on Plotter, it does keep coming back to an old project of mine. So if I just go into recent projects, Christmas 2024 novella, it has some similar features to the character builder, but where you can just list your characters, you can give them tags and all that sort of thing. But the thing that I love on this is that it has some inbuilt templates, and because I am pressed for time and I'm writing this rom-com in a month basically, I went into the template, which is actually 7 romantic comedy beats. So I'm just using that as a bit of a guideline, and it actually sets up the beats for you. So this one is the chemical equation, the setup, gives you what should happen at the beginning of Act 1, gives you a breakdown as to what happens in the rest of Act 1. I then filled in some plot here based on that. And then if we go back to beat 2, beat 2 is the meet cute. And what it made me realise doing this, it then goes through, the various beats that happen to take you through to the end of the novel. So this is a great boon for me, using this to actually help me plot out a novel which I have to write, a novella which I have to write in a fairly short space of time. So what working with Plotter made me realise was that I actually have missed some information in the setup. So that is going back to why the character is doing what she's doing. It's going back to her goal and motivation that I've kind of got there at the beginning, but it made me realise I need a little bit longer setup in terms of the structure of the novella, and I need to have that built in, her motivation and goal built in at the beginning more, because if you don't make it clear what the character wants, that's what's actually going to drive the story. It's what's going to actually drive all of her actions as the story unfolds. And you want your character to be the one driving the action, making choices that aren't always the right choices, but definitely making choices that create that kind of cause and effect thing that then creates the plot. So I am now going back to write another scene at the beginning. I worked out my rough kind of word count for each section is pretty right. It's pretty on par, but I can actually slot in another scene near the beginning, which is going to establish her goals and motivations more. So here I go. So it's about 2 hours later. I did, barking dog. I did manage to get 1,303 words down. It's interesting that when you actually start, if you let go of the need to control where the story is going too much, just have that basic idea when you start, and then just write one sentence and the next sentence and the next sentence, and let it go wherever it wants to go. It's amazing how that can actually help you push the plot forward, find out things about your character, discover something that's going to happen next that you didn't know about. So I'm really glad that I went through that process of note-taking and planning and all that sort of thing, and I know I'm going to have to stop and do that at various times throughout the manuscript. I'm now probably at around 14,000 words. I need over 33. But if I feel like if I can get to the midpoint, if I can get to that halfway point, which is coming up very soon, that's going to make the second half a lot easier, because I'll have all the basic elements of the story, and then it's just a matter of pushing the conflict, pushing the humour as well, because it is a rom-com, and really upping the tension between the main character and the love interest. So this is a new thing for me, doing this whole rom-com thing, but obviously the whole process is the same as writing something else, but it is really helping me using those other tools and getting back to some note-taking on paper, as well as just sitting down and doing the words. So have to make myself do that again tomorrow and the day after and the day after. So watch this space.